beautiful, shining example of hope and of coming together. So Germany is doing very, very well. If you look at an economic map of Germany right now, of GDP, it's the best example in Europe. Most maps of GDP will have, color schemes like, normally a happy color like red will be used for showing which parts, and you can look at economic maps if you like, highest GDP. But Germany, almost all of it is red. It's a high level or highest GDP. And of course the lowest is going to be on the eastern side. And yet, you might say, oh, it's not doing as well, and that includes Eastern Europe too. We're talking about Eastern Germany and Eastern Europe at the same time. Now you might say to yourself, oh, that's too bad that it's not making as much money. But I will say this, Eastern Europe is one of the places with the highest growth potential in the world. So whenever you've kind of tapped out, and there are places that are tapping out, the United States is slowing, Western Europe, all the top economies, Australia, Japan, these are the top economies that are slowing. They call this post-industrial. But there's countries in Asia, and countries in Africa, and countries in Eastern Europe, and South America, and Central America that are all poised for the most growth. So these are the ones to watch. That we'll watch them rising up and growing, and hopefully they won't make the same mistakes that industrial countries have made. Now some, like Japan and Eastern and Western Europe, have learned to become conservative about the environment and realize their precious resources, and they're doing very much to think about their future and to build things that are for everybody. I think this is commendable. I see the United States taking little baby steps towards that too, but having a long way to go. The U.S. had enjoyed growth mode, huge growth mode for so long that it's tough probably to pull back on that and realize have to start building things for the future. But you all, that's your job, and you'll figure that out. You're good at that. You're good at getting together on things. So that's what's next. Okay, we might move on into a look then at some of the neighbors of Germany. And again, unfortunately, we have to go kind of fast, but I just want to make sure that we know the some major things about each one that can make us go and look for more, because each one is a fascinating story unto itself. Europe is just, as far as culture goes, it's wonderful, it's amazing. Now France, what do we say about France if you compare it? I like to compare with Germany a little bit. We did talk a little bit about the Anglo-Saxon tribes and that there was a little bit of competition in the past between France and Germany, always a little bit of competition between those peoples. That Germany is a new country, France is a very, very old country, and actually Paris was started by which civilization of Europe? The Romans, yes. Okay, so France, very old, very wonderful country, and of course Paris, one of the top world-class cities, along with London and Tokyo, and a few others. Amazing, oh, New York too, New York City. So Paris is on the Seine River, and that was a Roman outpost, and a very old country. And it's the best example of, what did we say Paris was the best example of, at least in Europe, that I can find.
A primate city.
A primate city, very good, thank you. So what's a primate city? It's a big, obvious, huge city located fairly centrally, and many times the roads will spoke outward. Everything goes to that city, and that's very true for France. Now France was very centralized for a very long time. It's working on decentralizing a little bit, and it's breaking into some parts that will have more governing ability and more say in governing France. And so it's working on decentralizing a bit now. But the culture remains very strong, and again, highly recommended traveling in France to learn a few words of French. It'll get you a long way. Culturally, it's a very strong culture, an amazing culture. So, Belgium. Belgium has an interesting cultural mix. It has an amazing port called Antwerp, and the cultural mix is Flemish, and also there's French in Brussels. So it's an amazing cultural mix there. Again, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, or Benelux, are the three that started the European Union, and so all of them are huge EU supporters and are a huge part of the EU infrastructure. Now, Luxembourg has the highest GDP, and it's a teeny little powerhouse for the EU. There's a bank on every corner. So it's huge in EU business. Netherlands, fascinating. Okay, Netherlands, there's a few things about Netherlands. I could go on and on about Netherlands too, but the things about Netherlands. Did you oh, of course you know about the city that is known far and wide, or people your age love to go travel there because of the freedoms associated. Amsterdam, yes, I'm talking about Amsterdam. So what about Amsterdam? What freedoms do we have there? It's a very socially free place. Yes, smoking marijuana. I believe in coffee shops. I believe you can purchase and smoke. And I believe that prostitution is a legal business also. And there's the blue light district, all kinds of beautiful ladies and men available. And so then we have, so Amsterdam is somewhere that people like to visit for this reason, but it's just a beautiful cosmopolitan city that people love to come to. But it's actually part of something, I want to bring this up because it's part of something that we're going to see in the future. It's an arrangement of cities, 3 together in Netherlands. Amsterdam, do you know the names of the others? Rotterdam's the port, and The Hague. The Hague is the government seat, and lots of universities, lots of intelligence, think tanks. Together, they form something that is much like a big, huge city on its own. If you take all those cities, there's really no distance because they've grown together into a big, giant area. So what do we call that? The Randstad. It has a nickname. And it is known as a conurbation. Remember that name because we're going to cover other conurbations. This is a very famous conurbation. So just keep a lookout for that to come up again, that particular pattern of cities. Now there's some other things about Netherlands. What about the reclaimed sea area? The Zuiderzee. The Southern Sea. Yes, now that's reclaimed land. So how did they do that? We can imagine here in Guam, if we went to the tourist district in Tumon and put up some dams and took out the water and built hotels on it, out into where the water was and the reef.